Welcome back, everyone. So today we're going to be taking a look at the bizarro world of Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. Today we're going to take a look at more of the motions that her attorney, Lori Vallow's attorney, has filed on behalf of her in the court there, and requests that he has asked of the court and wants a ruling on. And they get more bizarre as we go on here. So sit down, grab yourself a cup of coffee or tea, and let's jump into it because I don't know how to explain these other than just read through them all. So thank you for joining me today. Number one on the list, Mr. Means wants a complete transcript of every conversation that Lori Vallow has while in the custody of the IDHW, which is the Idaho Department of Health and Wellness. He wants a complete transcript of the conversations, not only from doctors, he wants ones from nurses, any medical staff, custodian, anyone who works for the actual IDHW, a complete transcript. Now, normally transcripts are only kept for conversations in notes from the actual clinicians. It's not, generally make transcripts of conversations that you may have with somebody walking down the hallway, or someone who's changing the sheets on a bed, or somebody who is cooking a meal in the kitchen. But he wants a complete transcript from every person who works for the IDHW, and it gets stranger from there. He wants a complete list in advance of all medications that they plan to give to Lori Vallow, and he wants to be able to contest those possible medications that they may be giving her or give to her, while in their care, to make her, get her to the point where she can, aid in her own defense. He wants a complete, then he wants a complete transcript of all records, treatment records, anything that they plan on doing, psychotherapy, group therapy, anything and everything that has to do with any type of treatment, again, in the IDHW, while she is there in their care. He also wants private and confidential access to her in person while she is there in the IDHW. He wants to be able to meet with her up to a maximum of 3 times per week while she is in the care of the IDHW. This is unheard of. You send someone to the state mental hospital to get to the point where they are able to aid in their own defense to get well, but he wants to treat it as if she's going away to summer camp, and he wants to treat it as if she's just there for a relaxing weekend. They don't grant access to attorneys to interrupt their actual protocol, or family members, or anyone for that matter, but he wants access to her 3 days a week to be able to go there in person. Now, keep in mind that Mr. Means is now her defense attorney on record, and he is a public defender on record, which means that he needs to request the reimbursement for any traveling that he needs to make to and from his office to her where she is currently at. And this is why he put this in there, because he is requesting 3 days a week, separate times per week, to be able to travel there to actually have in-person conversations with her, not on the phone, but in person. Next, and believe it or not, but he really actually spelled this out, he wants direct involvement in her care. He wants to be placed in the position for her care where he makes direct decisions on what is going to be in her best interest and what will actually help her get restorative care there while she is in the state mental hospital. He wants to be placed above Chad or any other person who may be there, in her, aiding in her actual legal rights, or a family member who may be a power of attorney. He wants to be placed above everything. So he is number one. They don't do anything without his approval. No medication, no therapy, nothing at all. And this is different from just being, being part of the treatment. He wants everything to go through him before it ever happens. And if he says no, they can't do it. Next, he wants the credentials of every person who will come in contact with her. Every single person. The doctors, the nurses, any type of clinician who is there, anyone who aids in her actual treatment at all. He wants the credentials of every single person who may come in contact with Lori Vallow while she is in the care of the IDHW. Additionally, on top of that, in case that none of this was enough so far, he's also requesting the court do additional background checks on every person who is responsible or has direct contact with her while she is in the care of the IDHW. Yes, these people have already had background checks in order to get their jobs. He wants them to do a new one on every single person. The cook in the kitchen, the janitor who changes the sheets on the beds, every single person he wants an additional background check on while she's there. I don't see any of this, actually being the state's going to allow it, but he keeps on making these requests, these motions to be there, to be the person in charge of her care, as if he had a medical license himself or any experience in the field of psychology or psychotherapy, which he doesn't. He has no experience at all in any of those fields. Hell, at this point, I'm not even sure if he has experience as a lawyer, but he keeps on filing these motions. And of course, Mr. Wood has looked at this list and and basically throwing up his hands, and it's like, what else is there? Well, here's the additional. The additional thing is he has requested reimbursement for a list of 27 different things. He has only been the defense attorney for her, as a public defender. He's only been that for less than 2 weeks, and he's already got over 20 items that he wants reimbursement for. Everything from hard drives that he says that he needs to, back up all the information. He was given a hard drive copy of every single piece of evidence. He then went out on his own and purchased additional hard drives for to back the hard drive up onto another hard drive. He wants reimbursement for those. He wants reimbursement for every single time that he, since that time before she was shipped off to the state mental hospital, he wants reimbursement for every travel, bit of travel he did from his office to the court to file these motions, and also to file, to see her there at the actual jail itself. He wants reimbursement for the time that he actually had to go to the law library. Yes. He wants reimbursement for that. Maybe you should have done that. I don't know. Maybe when you're in law school. I don't know. Maybe you would think that, as an attorney, he would have the references in everything that he needs in his office. But apparently not. He also wants reimbursement for copies, phone calls, and for records that where he had to file a subpoena, to make her best friend testify in the case. That happened over a month ago. Why wasn't that billed to her when it happened. And why wasn't it reimbursed then? Now he wants the state of Idaho to pay for that. He also is requesting additional money for researchers and for private investigators and for expert witnesses to testify. All this was part of his request, on top of this litany of strange motions that he wants to insert himself in the middle of her care. This is supposed to be someone with experience and the ability to defend her on murder charges and conspiracy charges and abandonment charges. Doesn't sound like somebody who has the experience to me. Maybe it does to you. Leave a comment down below and let me know. Do you think that Mr. Means has the ability to defend Lori Vallow? So that's it for today. Oh, I'm sure there'll be more this week, because as the days click by and the hours click by, Mr. Mean finds more and more strange reasons to file more and more motions, to clog up the court, to drag this out. She's there for the next 90 days at the minimum. If she's not found to be competent after that 90 days, they will extend it out, like I said before, on an additional 180 days. And then, therefore, every 180 days, they will file for an additional 180 days if she's not found to be competent to aid in her own defense. But now, the circus keeps on rolling. The circus of Mr. Means and his weird motions and his objections and everything else that he does just keeps on going. Chad Daybell's trial and court proceedings is to start the 23rd of this month. So hopefully we'll see something in the way of justice to start rolling in that part of this case. Thank you for joining me today. You have a terrific week.